but we know, next year we're going to get at least one out of maybe 3 AR, VR wearable devices from Apple. But before we get into why, and you know what? I realized today, I'm not an Apple fanboy. I'm not. I love their products, but I'm just aware of the reality of the company.
That sounds like a fucking fanboy thing to say, right?
I have to be honest.
All right. Are we starting this episode now here, Lee?
We're live and you're back.
Okay, I am back, and you know what? I feel like $1 million, guys. I'm feeling great this week.
You should, because you pathetically wimped out of our last episode.
I did.
We missed you. We gave a little...
Because you had a little sniffle.
We gave you a little army shout out.
Well, yeah.
This should be yours, by the way. I was thinking about it. The heart just sideways, but it's like a little L.
Oh,
Yo, Lou.
It's a little L for
Lou Army.
Lou Army.
Lou Army. Wow.
Speaking of them, they're in the real army now. BTS
Yeah.
is...
I saw
how do you feel about that?
Some hilarious meme. You know what? Here's the thing that I love about the internet is that anything significant that happens, it can be signified by the memes that happened.
Oh, yeah.
So, like, there's like a joke where it's like, imagine like you are like fighting Korea and like, you know, Jungkook just like freaking shoots you in the back of the head. You know what I mean? Or like just.
And then dances on your body. Like,
it's like, we don't get permission to dance, you know, just like going ham.
And they probably look like super attractive to you, like with their like, they got makeup and their hair done. And they got probably all, their whole outfit is like, it's like glammed, you know, like.
One of my favorite one was when Queen Elizabeth passed away, rest in peace. But one of the funniest things is like there was a tweet. It was like, "Oh, that was fast," and it shows like the royal castle, whatever it was, has like a Spirit Halloween banner over top of it. Like they freaking move fast. Spirit Halloween moves faster than any business I know. Holy!
In the future, when kids are reading the history books, there'll be like an appendix for memes. Yeah. So like there'll be like a little number, and then just go back to the back of the book, and they can see the meme that correlates with that period of time.
Yeah.
And it's like in our normal textbooks growing up, we had, you know, like mustaches drawn on guys and penises drawn in your textbooks. But now it's actually going to be in the meme already. You're going to be like, what the hell? Trying to rub it off the page. But sorry, pause on the rub it off. I didn't mean to say it like that.
Oh, jeez.
We're evolving.
Enough about me, guys. How about you? I haven't seen you guys I've seen you guys earlier this week, but for our viewers, it's been a whole week since I've seen you guys. What's new with Storm and Lee?
We had a really good episode. Last episode might have been our best one yet.
Oh, really?
I'm kidding. It was good. I mean, we missed you.
You're damn fucking right.
But, you know, Vic came in. He was the producer. Storm sat in your chair and was having like Game of Thrones level vibes. Like he was like, this feels good. I like this chair.
Yeah.
And he was like all like excited and shit. And I was like, low-key gonna tell you to lock your door because I was like, Storm's not. Now that Storm's had a taste of the chair,
that's horrible.
He might kill you.
Well, do you know what? The good news is that he doesn't know about what's under the desk. You know, our foot massagers that we have specifically for us and not for Storm. You know, foot massagers under there. We also have like our cold beverages under there. We can grab it any single time.
Yeah, there's also our air circulation just above us for perfect temperature control.
Mm-hmm. We knew that you might have taken advantage of this, so we turned that off. Well, on my chair at least.
My chair still had all the features.
Yeah.
Anyway, we got a couple of cool stories this week, but also a really awesome conversation about the biggest battle of the internet that's coming next year. Likely.
Next year.
Yeah. What we'll see will be history making. And we're going to get right into the deep corners
into the sauce
of that conversation tonight. And anyone that's listening is going to be well equipped to debate their uncles and cousins and coworkers.
Wow.
On where the future is going. So
that is like the final boss is your drunk uncle.
Oh yeah, it's so hard to convince them. Anything.
Yeah, and they always do the sneak attack too, where you know you're just having a random conversation, like better than that whole, you know, and then just
they slide it right in.
They slide it,
and then you're like, are we doing this? Are we doing this right now?
Yeah.
All right, fuck whatever grandma says about dinner.
Yeah,
I'm going in. I'm going in.
Yeah, kamikaze style. Why don't we roll the intro here, Lee?
Yeah. All right. Well, welcome to the Fast Forward Podcast. I'm your co-host, Lee.
And I'm your co-host, Lewis. And welcome to the fastest growing Canadian tech podcast in the universe.
This year, we're talking about how Interpol has gone to the Metaverse and how cities are changing the way that they do their urban planning to suck up more water.
Next, we're also going to talk about software engineers. And are they really engineers? We're also going to talk about the future of VR, the Metaverse, and a whole lot more. I'm excited for this episode here, Lee.
And spoiler alert, that conversation will be the battlegrounds. And me and Lewis might walk away here not friends. Jinx. Just kidding. Lewis, it's a podcast. You guys
can't talk the entire pod. I come over. I sit down in your chair. I'm back.
I'm back, baby. All right.
Let me talk to you about the first thing. Okay, I'm going to ask you guys a question, and you guys are going to answer it for me. Okay. Are software engineers engineers? Yes or no?
No more than train engineers are.
Why specifically train engineers?
I don't know.
What do you have against train engineers, dude?
Man, Tom,
you had that in the bank ready, man.
I think they are engineers by what an engineer means and what engineering means. But I do see why there might be some, skepticism from the greater engineer ecosystem saying, hey, listen, we have to jump through hoops to call ourselves engineers and get certification and join an association and pay fees. But you can just call yourself a software engineer at 17 years old because you made a cool app in high school.
So let me go explain a little bit in context here. So this is from, where Lean, Storm, and I are from, good old Canada. Well, according to Alberta, Canada, software engineers are not engineers. The Association of Professional Engineers and Geoscientists of Alberta has asked a court for tech companies to stop using the term engineer in job titles related to software. Very interesting. This has caused outrage in Canada as they claim it's an overreach in regulations, especially since it's just a naming concept. But they argue, Engineers Canada CEO argues that doctors and lawyers wouldn't stand for uncertified practitioners calling themselves doctors or lawyers. You can just name yourself a doctor or a lawyer, or in this one book I'm reading, you can just name yourself a midwife just because you give some people herbs, you know what I mean?
What about Dr. Dre then? Are they coming for him next or what?
Dr. Dre, yeah, he's currently under criminal investigation for using doctor. No, I'm joking. But so the engineer CEO says that, they couldn't call themselves doctors or lawyers, so why should software engineers call themselves engineers?
I don't know if that's a good argument.
Yeah, some people are saying that this undermines the position of some software developers and makes Canada uncompetitive since everywhere else can legally do it. So just what are your thoughts on this, guys?
I think engineering is like a philosophy. It's like an approach to problem solving.
Yeah.
It's approach to creating. I think engineering is different than art. And I think by definition, it does fit. Now, the semantics around, the accreditation, what do they say? It's professional people. What do they say there?
The professional engineers and geoscientists of Alberta.
Because there's no regulation. Is that what they were saying? Yes. So I guess here's what I would say. The reason that doctors can't call themselves doctors if they're not doctors is because they're managing people's health and they have a direct with customer relationship. And same thing with lawyers. You can't represent people if you're not like a legal lawyer. You need to pass the like LSAT or whatever.
Yeah.
And have your the bar and then be like a certified lawyer to practice law. Where I feel like some of the greatest engineers of our time, started in their basement making a product. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Engineering it, a new invention. I don't know why they would need to be regulated. And on top of this, I don't see the net positive. So that's the first thing. Like, I don't see how they're going to benefit the industry as a whole. Has there been a problem historically with engineers like mislabeling themselves and then creating chaos like a fake doctor or a fake lawyer could? I don't think so. But I heard a story on another podcast I listened to, All In, where Chamath was talking about how at Facebook, they couldn't attract these PhD mathematicians. So they started calling them data scientists rather than like data researchers or whatever. And that ended up helping them attract a ton of talent. And now across Silicon Valley in the industry, data scientist is a commonly used term. So people actually care about the job title, and people turned away jobs because the guy turned it away because he wasn't called a scientist. He's like, no, I'm not being called a researcher or whatever.
Yeah.
So how does this affect Canada competitively?
The thing is too, though, is that also like data scientist, like when you get a bachelor's, say, in computer science, you still have some sort of like science degree, right? Versus like an engineering degree might be completely different. I think that's where a lot of people saying like a lot of people who are engineers are kind of they're held to a certain standard that they will be liable. It's like kind of about liabilities, I believe, at the end of the day. So, I mean, I'm kind of in agreement with you. I don't think there's 100% a net positive in it. I think that if they wanted to go this far, then maybe they could have just like.
It feels like bitterness.
It does.
It feels like, the Association of Professional Engineers and Geoscientists have asked for tech companies to stop using the. You know what the thing is? Like, everyone wants to be a tech company engineer now. Like, they're like the elites. And they don't even have their, seal of approval. I think it's bitterness, and also it's not a good idea because now, someone's looking for a software engineering job and they're choosing between Canada and the United States or maybe Alberta and Ontario. They're just hurting Alberta.
Yeah,
because people are not going to find the job that they're looking for there.
Sounds like a bunch of like Rosses from Friends, who are just kind of like a little pissed off that they can be part of the club,
Yeah,
and they have that kind of attitude, They're like, oh, they can call themselves engineer. I mean, the thing that is funny, I was listening to Kanye on Lex Fridman the other day, and he was saying engineer for everything.
Social engineering,
cultural engineering. So like, part of me wonders if like when I hear that term, is it kind of like what they think when they hear software engineering?
Here's what they should do. If they care so much about the word being like manhandled, they should have like a different term for certified engineers, right? SEAL engineers or certified engineers or something like that. If don't take the word away from people that are using it because you don't like how it's being managed. You know what I mean? Like, create your own term for the electricians that are electrical engineers that are certified, right?
Yeah.
You literally call it certified or regulated.
I think that is true though. Like, it is kind of like, I think doctors have certifications too that they have hung up on their wall saying that they've graduated, they have their doctorate.
But the word was created with that. Like, it's been used in our society with that attached. That's the difference between a lawyer and a law clerk, or an MD versus a nurse practitioner. Do you know what I mean? Like,
it's hard to renege at this point. It's already out there. It's already established in human language around the globe. Yeah. This is just
it's living and breathing. So if you want a new word, you can create a new one. But trying to take it from people that have co-opted it, the way you don't like it,
it does seem kind of like
petty.
Yeah, what's the point?
What's the point? What damage is really being done? I don't know. I don't know. Anyway,
who's even gonna like police that these people don't use this title?
Maybe Interpol, which is interesting you mentioned that, Storm, because the Interpol, the International Policing Association of the world, is going to the metaverse. And this is cornier than you even think.
Wait a minute. So police in the metaverse.
I know what you're thinking, Lewis. You're thinking, oh, the Interpol's created this agency of spies that are like now like able to like go through portals like it's the Matrix and access metaverse worlds to try to like stop people cheating at Oculus poker and random dudes copping feels of female avatars. But no, it's even more lame than that. I hate to roast Interpol because like now they're gonna like try to like look for dirt on me and try to fuck me over. But this is weird. They basically made an entire digital clone of their HQ in Lyon, France. I think it's Lyon. Yep. So you pronounce it Lyon. And it's highly secure. Yeah, there's a funny video there. It's highly secure apparently, and only registered users can access it. But it's just like a metaverse version of their office. And here's the thing: look at the video. Look at the age of these folks.
Wait a minute. They also have to go through security clearance.
Yeah, and it's an exact clone of the real office.
Is this training? Like, do they train, or they actually are like?
I think
I need to check your metaverse body in case you have a virtual Coke bag in your bag.
What are you sneaking into the meta? You know what I mean? That's weird. But I think it is training. So like people that haven't come to the office in person can like get a tour of what it's actually going to be like. This is where you'll do security. This is where they'll check your pockets. Blah blah blah.
There's nothing more hilarious. Like there's just like this one shot of like a bunch of like these freaking corporate ass looking old men, like politicians, all sitting there with VR headsets on.
That's what made this funny to me. It's like these guys are, at the late stage of, male pattern baldness and, just totally not the type of person that would want to use it. Think about this. How badly did these poor old bags struggle with Zoom?
Yeah.
During the pandemic? You're gonna tell these guys they have to start using
they have to enter the metaverse.
Enter the metaverse, and then to what? To wait in security clearance? Like, yo, I'm in the metaverse. I have to like wait here for 15 minutes for like Paul to do a body pat down.
Do you know what's freaking hilarious too? that's literally like the only good reason you can go into the metaverse. It's like, oh, well, I don't have to get pat down. I don't have to go through security.
It's like, no, you have to do all those things
to-
redundantly.
Yeah, literally, it's so dumb. And you know what? It would have actually been kind of cooler if they were like, yo, we're gathering an Interpol squad force that has to go around like
other Metaverse worlds.
Other worlds, like cracking down on abuse, cracking down on people. Like, wouldn't that be sick?
It'd be sick, but it'd also be kind of corny. Like in the real world, it makes sense because it's like in the real world, like this international group of agents that like are stopping real crimes from happening. Yeah. But like imagine somebody like walks up to you in the meta world and they're just like, hey, yeah, guys, I'm from Interpol. Here's my ID, and they're like avatars like floating this ID, and they're like, I could just ask if you guys wouldn't use that kind of language to this woman here. That's really disrespectful. And you know, if you have any questions, you can add me.
I could just picture like the salespeople of this would be like, you have extremely trusted individuals who will go and protect you in the metaverse, and like in your head, you're picturing like these Chad looking dudes who are like just so built. But meanwhile, like the people that are actually going to moderate are just like Discord mods and like Reddit mods, like Eric Cartman shitting in a fucking like thing.
Yeah.
Like, come get it. And
but their avatar is like this jacked cop with like a V.
Yeah. Meanwhile, it's like, please stop doing that in the metaverse, please. You know, like they're just fucking like gigantic neck beards.
But you know what though? Like they said the metaverse holds many benefits for law enforcement, notably in terms of remote work, networking, collecting and preserving evidence from crime scenes, and delivering training. Collecting and preserving evidence from crime scenes, I'm very curious.
In the
metaverse? Yeah, I'm curious about that. I understand
just like a decapitated body in like a metaverse world. They're like, yep, exactly what I thought.
Now, as understandably so, I understand that like from like a networking and remote work perspective, like, okay, you have an international, you know, group of agents and secretary staff or whatever. Yeah. But now I'm thinking like, you know, your kid's gonna put on your he's gonna put on your Rift, thinking he's about to like, you know, play, you know, VR basketball, and then he's like in a boardroom meeting, and they're talking about terrorism or something. You know what I mean, it's like, and then he's just he's just moving his arms around, like listening, going,
Yeah, could you imagine? Like, yes, I can finally play some Beat Saber, puts it on, and then in the virtual room, they're like tracking down like, this is the worst ISIS massacre I've ever seen, you know? And they're like showing up the pictures.
Millions of people will die. Timmy just takes off his headset. Dad, I think you need to be in this meeting. They all hear it in the room. Oh shit. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this. Interpol proved me wrong. I think this is a bit early. It's kind of fun. I think it's a great you know, remote working culture thing. You know, you can see your coworkers or whatever else. But did you have to go and rebuild your entire headquarters, or could you have just used Horizon Worlds? You know?
Yeah, I'm also like, I see another little clip here where like they have like a fireplace and there's dragons like next to it. So what I just find so weird is like, okay, like you wanted to create this like serious metaverse for what you're doing, which fair enough, cool. But like either make it serious or just like don't, you know, then you gotta make it look like weird as hell. So like you have this serious place where dragons are just chilling in your Interpol office. Like, I don't know.
Our world's not getting cooler. I think when I was young, I thought, you know, the future is gonna be sick. Like these agents are gonna have all these crazy tools, and like they'll have the AR glasses with a heads-up display, like scanning
like
you,
Iron Man, like Jarvis, like
like that's what I envisioned, like Inspector Gadget type shit. But really, all this has done is made them lame and corny. They're roasting virtual marshmallows. Like, what does Interpol come to?
Yeah,
you know, like, can we feel safe? I'm probably because everyone else is lame too.
Yeah, and maybe we'll talk about this more soon. But this whole social aspect of the VR is starting. Like, I need a little bit more understanding of it.
I think a good movie plot would be the developer, the software engineers that put together this metaverse. They needed the exact replica of the headquarters, right? So now they have all of Interpol's like secrets of where stuff's hidden at the building.
Yeah, now they have the blueprints.
Like. They're like, yeah, we'll do this job for you.
All they did was they gave criminals like a practice arena for like how we're gonna break into Interpol and steal documents and espionage and everything else.
Oh yeah, absolutely crazy. Lee, dancing. I know you love dancing. There's a lot of good videos of Lee dancing, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe we'll post them over on Instagram.
Maybe not.
Maybe we'll post them on Instagram. Or
if this video gets 1,000 views, actually maybe 2,000 views, because I know Lewis might share it if it 2,000 views, then yes.
Either way, if you're not going to dance, then maybe I'll get your 3D avatar to dance using AI.
Not without my permission.
Well, you don't know that. Adobe, right? We love Adobe.
Adobe.
We love Adobe. It's giving. So Adobe will reveal a prototype AI project later at Adobe Max, which I think actually already happened, so this might be past tense, that can convert a still image of a person into an animated dancer. Adobe says that all you need to do is load a full body picture into Project Motion Mix, and the system will turn that individual into an AI-controlled puppet, animating new dance moves. So if you click on that link there, Lee, in Storm, you can go down and you can see the Gangnam Style. Like with this still image of a picture, two people are doing the Gangnam Style in like a 3D model. So what I think is really cool with this is that it's able to construct a 3D object based off of the proportions that you give it. And then it's also able to rig a whole entire body onto you too, which I think is also pretty neat. I mean, again, if we're talking about freaking metaverse and shit like that, then it's pretty cool. But I have a question for both of you guys. I always feel like Adobe, they always like to create tools that are more open-ended. You know, Photoshop, you don't just edit a photo specifically. It gives you a variety of tools to do that. What do you think this could be used in the future for?
Well, yeah. So is this called Motion Mix?
Motion Mix, yeah.
So is the dancing example just one example? They have many more. Is that how that works?
I'm not sure exactly. I think so. It looks like this is a software to come out. Adobe Motion Mix, I'm assuming, is going to just make, like right now it's just saying the viral dance moves because I think it needed like a tech demo of some sort. But I think that this technology can be used in a lot of different ways.
This is going to be a lot of fun for a lot of people. I think if it has like the potential to really quickly create like, wow, that sounded like a lispy there. Quickly create. If it has the potential to quickly create, these fun little clips, and give you a bit more control than you get like on TikTok, for example, like kind of like a creator's level of control. I think there'll be a lot of fun content being made from this.
Part of me like thinks like the first two industries that are going to dominate with this. One is memes, and two is porn.
Yeah,
like those two industries are going to like.
Are you thinking about deep fakes?
Not deep fakes necessarily, but like maybe like taking a still and then like animating whatever you wanted to do.
Oh.
Whatever those sick bastards are up to.
Whatever those sick bastards. Lewis has already got the trial. He signed up for beta. And he's making memes.
Yeah, I'm making lots and lots of freaking memes. No, I'm joking. But
did you say beta?
I thought it was pretty cool.
You said beta, right? Like master beta?
Oh.
That's
clean.
Yeah.
Clean joke, Storm. And speaking of clean, one of my favorite cleaning tools is a sponge.
Oh wow.
And you know what's crazy is that cities are trying to make themselves more like sponges. Have you heard of this term before, guys? Sponge cities?
Sounds like a fun time.
Sounds like bikini bottoms.
That's like, dude, I was about to say that. When I think of sponge cities, I'm like it just triggers bikini bottom.
You gotta be faster, man.
No,
I'm glad outstorm the storm.
No, I'm glad he said it. Like I think it just triggers bikini bottom because obviously SpongeBob and you remember his little town, but that's not actually it. But there are some overlap there. The reason that we need sponge cities.
What is a sponge city?
It's because we're getting wet. Pause. Stare at camera. Cities are getting wetter and wetter, and they've been built like rain jackets to
show up.
Nice. To whisk water off of them when it storms.
Whisk water off of them. Sorry.
To whisk water off of them. So they've become like rain jackets, and they've got these like non-permeable concrete surfaces everywhere, and water is meant to wash over urban environments.
Okay.
Here's the problem. If you haven't noticed in the news lately, there have been these flash storms that have created massive floods. Shout out Storm.
Yeah.
Flash storm. He just takes his shirt off. That's not what I meant.
I like Storm's facial expression when he did that too. He was like, "Oh, I'm embarrassed."
It's a girl's gone wild face.
How do you know?
So these cities are not built for the rain that we're getting now with weather, with climate change. And they're not built to sustain it. And what's happening is their infrastructure is getting backed up really quickly, and it's overwhelming, and you create these floods. There's so much damage, and it costs taxpayers a ton of money. So here's my thinking. We've seen this idea to have more green spaces. And it's either been because of mental health or for fun or for just the aesthetics. But I feel like none of those reasons were really good enough. What do you guys think about making these nice green spaces, these wetlands, these forests, these parks that can absorb water when it has a function like preventing floods? I feel like
that'd be pretty cool.
we're gonna get way more green spaces, right? That's one of the many ways that people are able to turn their cities into sponges. Other ways are just turning their concrete surfaces into these permeable concrete surfaces that have gaps and gravel and let the water seep through. But to me, like a utopia would be, just walking through this concrete jungle, and it's like literally a jungle.
Yeah,
lots of greenery.
Remove the concrete.
Yeah,
no, I 100% agree. Lee.
Flying cars.
Yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, maybe you can only do that in a VR worldly, but maybe not.
I mean, so Lewis, the thing about the VR world is that AR will bring people back outside again, and not only people want to come out. Could you imagine an AR world where it's a concrete jungle, but all the plants are in AR?
Yeah,
it's like welcome to the city of Toronto, and
still a little dystopian, but
it's very dystopian.
It's definitely a bit better.
But all the animals and plants are just fucking AR, animated in 3D.
But here's the thing, Lee. Okay, because we're about to go into this here.
Oh, you want to get into it?
Oh, we'll get into it in a minute here. But I want to preface here with Meta. So Meta's original goal for 2022 was to have 500,000 monthly users on Horizon World, its metaverse platform. So by the end of the year, so it reportedly has less than 200,000. So like less than half of its milestone. So while the technology improves, early adopters are spending less time with these products. Weekly teen use of these platforms has dropped 3% this year. The Wall Street Journal found that most users in Meta's Horizon Worlds don't return to the app after the first month. And The Verge reportedly that Meta's own employees are barely using it. So in other words, Apple will likely need more than legs to make mixed reality lucrative. That's from the article. I didn't make that one up, folks. So I thought it was funny. So let's talk about at the moment, okay, here's what we're going to be talking about.
Paint a picture, Lewis.
Apple VR is coming out, okay? So let's just, where we are at right now. Meta has just released the Quest Pro, but right now, most of their users are on the Quest 2 devices. Now, Lee, Quest 2 device, I mean, it's a pretty good device for what it is, right? It's basically powering a whole thing on a mobile chip. So it has the capabilities of a mobile chip. It's hard to get a lot of people on a standalone device. But the issue is the fucking graphics, man. Like we have seen what those, like the Wii has better graphics than that shit,
Yeah.
So, and they're trying to force people to go into these social VR situations, and you can't even force their own employees that they're paying to go into it. So it's not looking good at the moment. And what's around the corner here, Lee? I know you know a lot more about this. What's around the corner that is probably making Zuck shit his pants right now?
Listen, I'm not the expert on Apple's rumors, and I haven't had time lately to keep up with them. But we know, next year we're going to get at least one out of maybe 3 AR, VR wearable devices from Apple. But before we get into why, and you know what? I realized today, I'm not an Apple fanboy. I'm not. I love their products, but I'm just aware of the reality of the company.
That sounds like a fucking fanboy thing to say, right?
I have to be honest. And when I look at it, and I actually don't know if I like this, and I'll get into the details here of why I think Apple is going to wipe the floor with Meta, and how Apple is the apex predator here.
All right, let's hear it.
But before we get into that, what do we, just without even bringing Apple in, what is the writing on the wall with Meta?
What's the writing on the wall?
You just named a bunch of horrible metrics.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen so many tech companies introduce new technology. Stadia, right? I mean, Google's probably the culprit for most of these. The Google glasses or the cardboard. Throughout time, we've seen these companies come in with these technologies that are really fun but novel. And then once it wears off, it's almost like this big spike, but then it kind of like falls off, and that is a downward spiral to hell. If a company has a product that has strong network effects, let's just say every one person that buys it, they show their friends.
Buys a Quest 2, sorry?
Buys a Quest 2. For every person that buys a Quest 2, they would go show their 2 friends, all their friends and family.
Yeah.
And in that social circle, 2 of them would go, I like Lewis's headset.
I'm
I'm
going
gonna get one too.
myself. Okay.
Then we'd see a flywheel happen. That flywheel creates a network effect of more people on the platform, more incentive to create apps, better experience, more people on it to keep each other on it, right? When we got into Be Real, we got into Be Real so early, none of our friends were on it, so we all got off.
Correct.
Because there was not a strong enough network. This is why social media platforms are called social networks, because they are only as powerful as a network.
Yeah.
What I'm seeing with Meta, before we even get into it, is that they are performing so poorly. I mean, the fact that people go on Horizons and don't visit it a month later, like that's totally the opposite of what Facebook was. Mm-hmm. Facebook was the complete opposite. It was a very powerful network effect where everyone that signed up their friends, wanted to be on there, was there longer, spent more and more time. It could be because they were too early, but I think it's because the product is just not good enough. Mm-hmm. And there's not good, and not the product alone, but what surrounds it. The people using it is not good enough. The apps aren't good enough. The reason to be there isn't better than the reason to be here on your phone. Yeah. Right? How many hours a day do you spend on your phone?
Too much.
How many hours you spend on your MetaQuest?
Like, lucky if it's an hour a day.
Yeah. Yeah. And you have both options. Mm-hmm. So this is still more powerful of a device and experience.
Absolutely.
Even though the technology is a little bit behind. So, I mean, that's my take on Meta right now. I don't know if you have any thoughts about that.
No, I 100% agree with you there. I think the issue is that with Meta is that, like, with the iPhone, it literally appealed to everybody, right? Everyone needs a phone, because even before we talk about the App Store, you can text, you can go on YouTube, you can listen to your music, right? So it appealed to so many different people that if you didn't have an iPhone, you just were not getting the best product, right? Like, that's just that plain and simple. But with right now, they're targeting the gamers who are already pretty antisocial, and where the metaverse already works, like right now, really, really well, is in a game called VR Chat, which is where, like we were talking about this before, like a bunch of furries or a bunch of like underrepresented communities go to socialize because they're not like
able to find their tribe.
Yeah, they're not accepted in the real world. So it's like that's what makes sense. That's the best way for them. But like, you know, my grandma, my mom, they like to go out like all the time for drinks, dinner. Like, the real world is accepting of them. So,
and the majority of people can find real world acceptance. It's usually like a smaller minority that can.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, it is. I think just right now, it's just way too early. But I mean, I agreed with a lot of talking points there, Lee.
So here's my take on why.
Okay.
And I don't want to rant, so you guys interrupt me at any time and try to put holes in this argument here. I think if Apple produces a decent consumer product, even at an extremely premium price tag,
like how much? So let's say MetaQuest here, I think it's $500, right?
If they put a consumer product out at $1,300 to $2,000, then my prediction, I think, will be true.
Okay, wow, yeah.
So I'm thinking they can even go that expensive. Yeah. They can be more than the pro version of Quest.
Yeah, okay.
That's where I know it sounds crazy, but let me get into it.
Yeah, no, I'm interested.
So, Smith, so many reasons. There's first of all, Meta's not doing anything positive for themselves as far outside of the R&D. As far as like how they've been accepted by the marketplace, they don't have enough for me to be convinced they're even going to be a strong opponent when Apple brings all the flame I'm about to share. But at the end of the day, it's going to really come down to who creates the best overall experience. Mm-hmm. And when customers have a clear choice, it's not going to be like Xbox and Sony. It's going to be significantly different than that. It's going to be like Android and Apple in the West, where, you know, very few people in comparison to other places in the world use Android. So I'm going to drop it down the list. I have like 6 reasons why I think Apple will win.
Okay.
Number 1, custom silicone.
Okay. Like their own like M1 chip type
their
thing.
Own chips.
Okay.
I think, and here's the one overarching theme of this whole rant, okay, is that Apple's been building the AR VR world. They've just been doing it quietly in front of our faces.
Mm-hmm. Like on the iPhone.
Inside their products.
Reality.
Inside all their products, they've been testing, building, and developing this world, but in a technology that we're all using still.
Yeah.
And they've done that so that they don't come in too quickly and do what Meta's done and kind of drop the ball by being too early. Timing is impeccably important to Apple. So number 1, custom silicon, because they have these incredibly powerful chips, and a lot of the features are weird, right? Like they're like we've caught ourselves saying this at Apple events, like, wait, why? You guys already have the most powerful phone. You have the most powerful. Like, why are you adding all these things to your chips and your mobile devices?
Yeah.
But this is why, is because they're building the chip for this device.
Okay.
And it's going to be hard for them to compete with. Number 2, wearable AR will need to be fashionable.
Yes.
VR is one thing, but AR, which a lot of people are saying is going to be the bigger frontier in the short term, needs to be fashionable because we have to be able to wear it at the office, at home, out and about, at the grocery store. You don't want to take it off whenever you want to use it.
No.
Apple's design-led strategy has literally over and over again taken things that didn't look like they'd be fashionable and made them fashionable.
Like AirPods,
Apple Watch, even their MacBook design. It's like 4 or 5 years later, and you could have a MacBook next to a brand new PC, and aesthetically, people are more drawn to the design of the MacBook. I don't even know if it's good design because Apple made it, or because Apple made it, it's good design. I don't know. It's like culturally, it's very difficult for me to even navigate those waters. But I see a video and everyone's got Apple computers. It just looks cooler.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so wearable AR will have to be fashionable. That's number 2.
Sitting over here looking like a lame wad.
A lame wad.
Might put an Apple sticker on the outside.
Yeah, you should. And then 3 is ecosystem.
Okay.
So yes, I understand that Meta has some level of a social ecosystem in the software side, but Apple has AirPods, right? So there's going to be all this different controls you can do. If you notice the new AirPods Pro, you can do touch controls on them. They have amazing transparency modes, amazing sound dampening and noise reduction. And then also Apple Watch, again, another device that looked kind of janky at first, but now it's quite fashionable to wear. Shout out to MKBHD. I think he wore an Apple Watch to the Met Gala.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So fashionable devices that are also going to be things you can interact with. So imagine, you're using your AR device and certain touch commands you can actually do on your watch where you can physically touch and see it.
For sure.
Versus like fucking around on your head with some like weird, dials.
You couldn't wear like a Meta Quest like outside.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. Number 4, manufacturing, supply chain, and distribution. Apple's been making at huge scale, high quality devices with quality control for a very long time.
Well, tell them about my AirPods, because my AirPods just have been murked ever since I got them.
From what? Oh, these have been bad quality.
They've been bad quality.
Sorry about that. Apple, Tim Cook, give Lewis a call.
Thank
but
you.
for the most part, you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And the distribution's huge too. We've been seeing this actually. Other companies, including Microsoft, have been closing their stores. Apple, during the pandemic, was the only company to continue building more Apple stores. This is very weird behavior. But again, I think, is the distribution channel, is the physical stores in these big centers to get people. Think about when we
trying on the
trying
AR
it on.
device.
Like, imagine you go to an Apple store in a mall and you can put it, you know what I mean? How that's so much
this
better.
Viral AR device. Like, what is it finally?
It's so cool. And how much better is that than having a kid at your Christmas party that brought his AR device? Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
It's going to get so many more people, faster volume at scale. So the distribution channels are huge. Their e-commerce is amazingly effective. You can buy things on Apple. They'll ship to you, blah, blah, blah. 5, they've been building software this entire time as well. So it's not just hardware. Memojis, right? Face tracking, AR, right? It's similar to the Meta avatars, the FaceTime SharePlay, the live text and photos. Like right now, if you guys grab your camera and take a photo of something, you can grab and copy and paste. So it's analyzing text that's in your...
Analyzing
text that's in your imagery, soon to be probably in your video, things that you're able to see, right? Opening applications. And then also think about Apple Maps. Why did a few years ago they go with that huge like AR type of, immersive 3D?
For sure.
Right? These are all things that I think they were doing when it made sense to build foundation for their AR device. Last but not least, the track record, number 6. Apple has consistently entered new product categories and destroyed and won outright. Some examples: the MP3 player, the smartphone, the smartwatch, tablet, and headphones. Literally all 5 of those categories, they are the number 1.
Yeah. To be fair on the last one, though, is that those were all kind of like outdated things anyway. Like those are things that were failing to be innovated.
Wait, headphones?
Yeah. All those were failing to be innovated, right? And then the issue is that with VR specifically, there's lots of innovation going on. That's arguably, I would say, Meta's only kind of advantage at the moment is the research and development that they're doing with their products. Now, I will say that the AR stuff this is all AR based, which
Yep.
you're 100% right, is really good at the moment. I'm just very curious to see where Apple, because right now we're kind of almost seeing like Zuck building in public a little bit.
Yes,
He's building.
it's a good way to put it.
He's building in public. He's understanding, like, and they've said many times that the Quest Pro is which is their new device that has the color pass through. It's their newest device that came through, and they really are like, they've almost like made it pretty common knowledge that it's going to be an early device for early adopters. Like, if you want to get this, you're an early adopter.
They want to get it out to people so they can get it tested and use it. I think Facebook is at all costs trying to make the best device. And I think if you're trying to make the best device, you get it to people to test and you iterate and you grow. Like you build in public.
For sure.
But then, you know what? I'm glad you mentioned the headphones one because they're all different. Smartphone, MP3 player, tablet were different than how they did headphones. But the reason they did headphones so well is because of the things I mentioned earlier, the ecosystem and the distribution channels.
For sure.
And the fashion. So when AirPods came out, they were weird looking. But then all of a sudden it became very fashionable to have AirPods in your ears.
Yeah.
It was a status symbol. And you know what people like about status, jewelry, bags, everything else. So I think the headphones one actually highlights a separate thing outside of innovation. It highlights that Apple has the ability to sell you something that's not innovative. In fact, inferior to other similar priced products. Apple AirPods are not superior to, unless you're in the ecosystem, to any company, any of the main companies for headphones.
Yeah.
They're better quality for the price. Even those outrageously expensive over-ear headphones, comparatively, Sony makes significantly better products. Yeah. But it didn't matter. And Apple became the number one selling headphone company because of the network effect.
I'm just wondering, though, is that you're comparing apples to oranges right now. You're
nice.
Oh, that literally just, wow, nice. Thank you. Apple, like, you're talking about an AR headset right here. Well, right now, like, Meta hasn't even like announced even any sort of AR, even their Quest Pro right now that kind of talks about the color pass through. They specifically call it a mixed reality specifically because of how because the AR capabilities of it is not like that strong really, right? It's just, it's still that black and white. Like you've seen the black and white pass through on the Quest 2, hurts your eyes. All it does is it just overlays a color of it, right? That's all it does. New. It's actually even worse resolution than the Quest 2, believe it or not. But
wow.
No, I mean it's interesting. But I do think that when Apple does come out with an AR device, I 100% agree with you. I don't even know where Meta is going to be. I don't even know if they're going to want to enter the AR device game.
But here's what happens. When Apple comes in with the AR device, it's going to be impeccably timed and everyone's going to buy one. It's not going to be a fringe couple percent. They sell.
I don't know but here's the thing though. AR and VR are two separate demographics.
I agree.
And with VR, I think what Meta is doing at the moment is pretty smart because they're appealing to the people who would actually want these, and that's gamers and the fringe people.
The audience that came in less than half of what they expected. Oh, that's the concern, right?
Yeah.
So I don't disagree. I think there's a huge audience for VR. I just think from a business perspective, Zuck is building in public and making decisions that don't align with the fundamental principles of how they're going to make Meta a successful company.
Yeah.
Apple's going to release the AR device at the right time, completely monopolize it, be the only real option for AR, make a huge audience, a crazy app ecosystem, continue to develop all of the wearable technology that goes with on face devices that are like, that's a very vulnerable area. People are going to be worried about the radio waves, about safety, about the look,
looking like an idiot in public.
100%. So like Apple's going to break all those barriers, and then when it comes time to bring a VR in, and it makes sense to bring VR into that, at a mainstream level, and that might be soon. That might be end of next year, early 2024. Apple will do it again, and Apple will wipe the floor.
I will say one thing, okay, that I do think that Meta is doing really smart. They have an exclusive partnership with Ray-Ban, which is like the most like everyone looks.
Who do you
good
know
with
that
those.
has one? Who do you know that has
one?
Oh,
I don't. I'm not saying like those things suck. I don't care about that thing. I just mean like they have an exclusive partnership with them for
design.
The future, right? For the design. The good thing with Apple is that anything they make, people will buy. So it's not like,
it's almost like it's not good design. It's like because it's Apple, it becomes good design. Almost like it's almost like this. They're like they're compounding on decades of work and brand.
Like I said, because a lot of what Facebook is doing is built on top of Android. think about what Android glasses would look like. I don't know about you. Maybe like that sounds like a lot of people would think that looks like crap, right? Whenever I think about Android watch, I just like I cringe a little
Here's
bit.
the thing. People with Android phones, they always keep it kind of hidden what the phone is. You know, they don't want people to know they got an Android phone. It's in their pockets, on their desk, whatever. They're definitely not going to like let the lock screen open, you know?
They're always like, yeah, I got a Samsung Galaxy. Yeah, it's never like I have an Android. It's always I have a Samsung Galaxy.
What's wrong?
Yeah.
What's wrong with it? Yeah. Like, who cares?
It has a way better camera than
46 megapixels, right?
You can do 40 times zoom. Like I can zoom in on someone halfway across the planet if I wanted to.
Check out my phone library. I have like 180 pictures of the moon.
Yeah. It's like, okay, bro, then why does your phone still suck ass?
Cool moon pics, bro.
Yeah,
cool moon pics.
Yeah, here's a picture of my girlfriend, bro.
Nice moon pics. Yeah. Get in a relationship, why don't you? That's funny.
We touch grass, bro. Touch grass.
Dude, we're roasting them so hard. Oh, man. But here's the thing. Like, no one... So that's a phone. Who's going to put an Android device on their head? Talk about second class, walking around the mall, like, strutting around. Dude, that's insecurity, bro. That's being 13 with a pimple on your forehead.
Dude, could you imagine like you're walking to this AR metaverse in the mall, all the Apple people walking normally, the freaking like tweakers or fucking Android users are just, it's like, hey Johnny, how's it going? His freaking avatar's going freaking like twitching all over the place.
Yeah.
It's like, damn, Android.
I grew up pretty poor. If I grew up pretty poor in today's era and I had to walk the mall with my mom and I have an Android headset on my head and I have my head down. And my mom's like, Lee, what's wrong? Put your head up. What's wrong? I'd be like, I honestly would be like, I don't care if we're on welfare, Mom. Get me an Apple headset. I can't be seen like this. But anyway, that's my take on why Apple will win.
Do you both have the same? Who has the legs to go to the distance then? You're saying Apple. What do you think, Lewis?
I mean, it's just hard because I do agree. I think when Apple releases something, it doesn't matter the quality of the product. If it's even 5 times worse, I would say people are still going to go with the Apple product. At the moment, though, we're looking at such future technology with the bias of what we currently have. So it's hard to tell. I think Meta's doing a smart thing by going into VR right now and then trying to build in public. But as soon as Apple releases something, I'm just,
it's a scary advantage. It's a scary advantage that they can release something that is admittedly worse than the competition and still outsell them. What happens if it's as good? What happens if it's better? And this is the thing. They've been building it for 20 years, guys. Like
Apple Reality?
They've been building, there's patents for AR that are 2 decades old, man. That's what I'm trying to say. They've acquired like a dozen companies in the last few years. There's been several acquisitions. Mm-hmm. So like, they aren't messing around. It's just in silence. That is scary. Zuckerberg talks about how this is the battle of 2 philosophies. We covered this story several weeks back. How Apple, he's saying has this closed ecosystem future for the future of the internet. And Meta wants to build this open metaverse.
Yeah.
But I call cap.
Oh, bro. When Mark Zuckerberg is the one arguing for freaking openness on the internet, that's how
I think he might genuinely want to. I don't know if when Zuckerberg built Facebook, if he intended for them to build their entire business model on advertising. I think that might have been the business development people that was like, hey, this is what we're doing. I think he genuinely, he owns a lot of control at that company. So he can just change the ship direction anytime he wants.
To be fair as well, like the reason Facebook is so good is because of an open internet. Because I can go to freaking, a different website, or I can like do a Google search somewhere else, and so he might be right.
But here's the thing: he made his money off of a closed ecosystem of software with Facebook. Like it's not like creators could build like the same. They would have to create Facebook pages, and you know what I mean. It's not like an open platform. It's his platform that you can use. Here's a fun fact: how much do you think Meta takes from developers in the platform? Let's remember, Apple takes 30%.
Oh, on the metaverse, I've seen this. It's like 60% or something.
I have 47.5.
But still, that's fucked.
It's higher than Apple.
Yeah.
Right? So when they talk about this open, I think really, ultimately, he's talking about this open metaverse, but it can't be. Because how are they going to make money?
Yeah.
They have to it has to be restricted.
Because I think he wants to make almost, like when he talks about the VR and AR, he's talking about like a new computational platform.
But he's making no margin. He even said this in his speech. They're making no margin on the devices. So he's not trying to make money on the devices. He's trying to use a loss leader to get people on the software. Cool. Now they're on the software. how do you make money? Are you going to run ads at people?
Yeah.
If it's an open, free metaverse where people can just frolic and build shit, I don't think they want to see Zuckerberg's ads.
Yeah, no, I think they just, yeah, who freaking knows, man? Who freaking knows?
It's weird. It's really weird. I don't know. I feel bad for Zuck. And honestly, again, this is why I'm saying I'm not a fanboy, because a fanboy would be like stoked about this.
So how about this then?
I'm not.
Is the Oculus Quest overrated or underrated?
Ooh, that's the game that we're transitioning into.
Overrated.
Here it is.
Overrated?
Oculus Quest. A lot of people shit on it. So, like, you have to, the first metric has to be, what does the general public think of it?
Yeah.
And a lot of people seem to shit on it.
I'm going to say it's underrated.
I'm going to say underrated as well.
So overrated and underrated. The Quest 2, I'm going underrated. Storm?
Underrated as well.
I think it's overrated as far as its influence, but I think it's underrated as a product. I think it gets too much. It's too much shit.
It's too. I think it's just real early. You know, I think the VR thing is still early. So, guys, as you can tell, overrated or underrated. I'm going to ask you one, but you can also say appropriately rated, whatever the middle ground is. If you think it's
coward's way out.
The coward's way out. So, first one, guys, Microsoft.
Underrated.
I'm going to say properly rated.
Underrated.
So why do you guys think they're underrated?
I just feel like they are literally the best company in the world, probably. If not, if it's them or Apple. And I just don't feel like people respect them for that.
Yeah.
Same. Like Apple wouldn't be where it is right now if it wasn't for Microsoft.
Yeah. I think appropriately rated because, they've gone through ups and downs of being like the GOAT, some crazy business practices, like some antitrust type of shit. And recently they were like dragged through the mud when Steve Ballmer was doing Windows 8 and the fucking shitty Windows tablets and all that. But then they're back and like now they have a good reputation. Like Microsoft having a good reputation is like kind of a weird thing.
Whoever's doing their PR is killing it. Because like even the fact that I like Microsoft right now is like very hard. That should have been a milestone. They should have, in their research, they'd have been like, okay, when Lee actually fucks with this company, we probably have turned like 80% of the hearts and minds.
Yeah.
I guess I see your point, Lewis, but I just don't think many people appreciate how much they've done there.
Apple.
Underrated.
Overrated.
What do you think, Storm?
They're rated so high by so many people. It's hard to be underrated. It has to be really high. So I don't like being in the middle, so I'll say overrated.
All right.
We don't need to be friends. I'm kidding. I mean, I guess I'll tell you guys why I think they're underrated, because you guys seem to disagree with me. I think they're underrated because they have so much stuff that's under wraps right now that if was visible to the public, they'd think differently. And I also think they're not appropriately appreciated. Like there's so many things that they do so well, and it's not appropriately appreciated.
What?
Like their engineering, their research and development, the competencies of their devices, their design prowess. I think by their audience and customers, they're 100% loved and appreciated. I think most people that own an iPhone don't even know why it's so impressive. They don't understand the chips and the level of complexity of engineering that happens there. So their own customers don't even appreciate it. But then the opponents, the Android users, they give it no credit, like literally zero credit. So I think underrated.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. Underrated because there are so many people that hate on them. So it kind of balances out that it's underrates them.
But the Apple, like people who own Apple products for the most part, right? I'm not talking about us. I'm talking about like just people who just buy after year after year or year. They don't care about all this stuff. They just buy it because it's Apple. And that's, to me, it's become more than just the technological utility of the device. And of course, I'm guilty of it too. We're all guilty, right? Getting a new phone when we don't really need to, or getting a new laptop when we don't need to. Like I love Apple, like absolutely love them. But I think a lot of the people that do buy Apple products enjoy the luxury of it rather than the actual utility.
Yep.
And so, but I mean, I do love Apple. They're not a bad company whatsoever.
You know who doesn't overrate them? Their stockholders. Stockholders are very happy with Apple.
Oh yeah.
They don't care about like, do people like the products or not? They're just like, yep, this company keeps printing cash.
Of course. I mean, capitalism that's the way it goes, right?
Apple's good at making money.
Yeah. Twitter. I'm going appropriately rated.
Underrated.
Underrated.
Well,
yeah.
It's interesting that you say it because you're not even on there.
I'm not on it. And I think that's why I think it's underrated, is because for the longest time I thought Twitter was a dumb, messy place. And recently realized there's like a lot of good, like, I actually open tweets all the time reading articles because I'm like, and there's like these long, amazing threads of content and very educated. I feel like there's a lot of thought leadership on Twitter. I would say there's like significantly more thought leadership on Twitter than any platform by a massive margin. I would say
Instagram has a lot of thoughts leaders, but not in the same sense.
Not a different kind of thought leadership. I would say LinkedIn is like, it's an order of magnitude more thought leadership on Twitter than LinkedIn. Yeah. Like 20, 30 times more.
LinkedIn, everyone's trying to be a fake version of them. Not everybody, but it's
a lot of that. A lot of that. It's cringy. Where Twitter's just like raw ideas.
Yeah.
In its simplest, purest form, ready for criticism.
But it's also innovation. Like, it brings the worst out of people, but as well as the best out of people. And that's why I like about Twitter, but it's also why I don't like about Twitter. So that's why I think it's appropriately rated.
I think I think their user base will grow the most it's grown outside of the first, like, their inception era in the next 10 years. It might be a different. Let that sink in.
Let that sink in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows if Twitter will go down or up from here?
Do you guys think Twitter will become X?
No.
Think it'll be its own thing. Twitter stays Twitter. It won't evolve.
No, I think
won't get a Meta rebrand.
No, definitely not. I think Twitter is going to stay the same no matter what.
Yeah. Like, as the app or the name?
Like the app. I don't think anything's going to really change with the platform.
No.
Huh.
Interesting.
iPhone. I think appropriately rated.
Yeah. Appropriately rated.
Underrated.
Okay. Cool.
Had to be different, eh, Storm? Why
well, just on the same that you're saying about Apple, there's so many people that just hate on it. So, like, amongst, if you say Android users are 30% of the world or whatever the percentage would be, they underrate it enough that the top 70 doesn't, I guess.
Imagine in Africa, the people there hated food. Okay? Imagine it, okay? They just hated food. And like, in the most impoverished areas of Africa, they just hate food. That is like what's happening today with Apple.
Oh, yeah.
Here's why. Let me explain. Because over here in prosperity in the West, we have this amazing device, and we don't even care to understand why it's so amazing. We don't know. We don't know why this is such an amazingly built device, because we're spoiled. Okay? And then the arch rival, the Android device owners, they hate it because they can't have it. They don't even know what they're missing.
Bro, this is
so I would say it's underrated. I would say that the people that use it don't know how good it is. They don't know how innovative the technology is in it. They don't realize how powerful it is. They don't realize that Apple is consistently 2 years ahead of the opponent, or more ahead of their opponents with chips.
Yeah, well, that's
they don't even get it. And then the people that don't have it hate it. Imagine
comparing iPhone to food. All right.
It is a food.
That's a bold accusation. McDonald's, speaking of food.
Underrated.
As a food or a company?
Like both. Jinx, you owe me a soda.
Can't talk
from McDonald's. Extra large it with the Monopoly coupons. Thank you.
Just for them to change with the times and stay so relevant and stay number one. I guess that's subjective because there's more Subways, I guess, in the world, but like for all intents and purposes.
Revenue, they're number one.
Yeah.
But I think as well too, like McDonald's went through like the worst era. Like they were basically the poster child of like unhealthy, like, and obesity in America.
Supersize me, right?
Yeah, which is still to this day, they're still kind of the people that people point their finger at.
Oh, you don't work out, bro. You just eat McDonald's, right?
Yeah. Or like you have a shitty job, right? You work at McDonald's, but McDonald's like is better than a lot of places to work at.
Dude, literally.
Yeah, and to me, that's why I think like, and I like McDonald's food. Of course, it's not like the best food, but it's not trying to be the best food.
I'm hungry. What are you guys doing after this? That's how, dude. And that's, I guess, go ahead. Do you have more to say there?
Oh, I'm all done. I'm happy to
So my thinking is that all served McDonald's. I think being the poster child of fast food it hurts when people are like judging you for how you feel. But like, let's be real. If you're eating fast food,
it's not gonna be real.
If you're eating fast food, you don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing about McDonald's is that, when they went through that era where everyone was just hating on them for being being responsible for fat people in America.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it hurt them a bit, but like at the end of the day, if you want fast food, you just want the you're not thinking about what's my healthiest option.
No.
A&W, Burger King, Wendy's, McDonald's. No, you're eating shitty food. You're gonna pick the one that you think of first, and that's where I think the whole like eating at McDonald's being the poster child of fast food, or you have a job at McDonald's that sucks to be you. You're a fry cook. Those work in favor of McDonald's because it's made them synonymous with burgers and fast food. It's made them
I don't
the
know
brand.
about that though. I wouldn't say that specifically because again, I think we're overestimating because the people who usually get McDonald's or the people who usually like it's usually a class based thing, right? People who eat McDonald's is sometimes it's cheaper to go to McDonald's for food than it is sometimes to go get healthy stuff from groceries. And it's also deterred people away from getting things. Like now people who understand this are like, all right, let's go to get a salad somewhere. And again, this kind of has kind of blown over now, right? Like it's we're no longer in the stage now where like, McDonald's is supersized and everything, and like everything you get at McDonald's is like super greasy and bad for you, right? But
in the States, is it? Like we talk from
It's
a
different.
Canada perspective, right?
Canadian McDonald's is legit gourmet in comparison.
it's so good.
Like if you're
So damn
American
good.
and you're near the border, cross the border and try our McDonald's. I
It's
guarantee
ridiculous.
it's better quality, presentation,
Costs more.
everything. Costs more, but you get what you pay for.
Yeah.
Lewis, I disagree. Coca-Cola's entire advertising strategy is like put their logo and name everywhere, and not when you need it, but when you need it, you'll think about Coca-Cola. Their brand is just everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm saying. I don't disagree about what you're saying about the whole healthy food, unhealthy food, people in poverty choosing fast food because they have to. I'm saying when you are the poster child of fast food, when you are like synonymous with fast food burger, when people want that thing, you've got all this free marketing from Netflix because the Founder movie, right? And Super Size Me. You've got in the last week, people brought it up how many times, right?
Last week?
Like in your life, if you just think in the last, if you're a customer in the last week, how many times did you hear the word McDonald's versus how many times did you hear the word Wendy's, Burger King? Honestly, for most people, McDonald's combined is more than the rest.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry,
I would
other
say
way
it's
around.
for me.
Yeah. So like that's what I'm saying is how it worked in their favor. Because at the end of the day, if people are going to eat in that category of fast food, it's all unhealthy anyway. So like, did they maybe lose some customers that were like, oh, I'm not going to eat fast food anymore. I'm going to eat that, whatever else.
Yeah.
Maybe. But listen, I try to be healthy. I don't give a shit. If I'm eating McDonald's, I'm eating McDonald's. Yeah. It's so good.
Oh, it's delicious. But I mean, again, I'm interested to see the metrics like during that time period.
That time period. That would be good to look at, actually.
All right. Well, that's me done for this game. I think we're on to snips now.
Snip.
Starting out with a story that we covered a few episodes back. Lee was talking about Apple and their quest. Apple and their quest. their journey for advertisements, how they're going to become an advertising giant. And now there are new ad placements available on the App Store.
Oh, I've seen these.
So,
I've seen all these, yeah.
So yeah, what do you guys think? Now it's coming into fruition a little bit. It's going to be actually happening.
I mean, I think it's going to serve what its purpose is, I think just there's not really much you can say about this apart from they're just going to kill it because that's just what happens.
Are these just new placements inside of the App Store only?
Yeah.
There was already ads there, so it's not the end of the world. They added more placements.
Yeah.
All right. Next up on the snips is about AI generated content. Shutterstock officially partners with OpenAI, and they're bringing AI generated content through Shutterstock. And to contradict that, Getty Images CEO is very firm and said in September that they're not going to touch AI generated art. So there's two of the biggest players in this space. One's going one way, one's going the other. What do you guys think?
Like what kind of AI generated content?
Yeah, why is he saying it's going to be illegal? That's a huge statement from their CEO.
Yeah, Getty said that he thinks it's dangerous. I don't think it's responsible, and I think it could be illegal. So he just doesn't see. He thinks that there's too much unknown with legal implications.
I think that's a fair accusation to make.
Because all the materials generated are leveraging previously created materials by unnamed artists.
Yeah.
So
and then also
sketchy territory.
Yeah, exactly. And then also it's like your way of avoiding copyright.
Yeah, this is true. So it might be a situation like second mouse gets the cheese, so to say. Getty sits back, waits for it, and sees how it plays out with Shutterstock, learn from their from their mistakes and go on from there.
I think both these companies are going to go to hell.
Oh,
if you can just make images from AI, like why do you need to pay for images from them?
Yeah,
this is true.
Who knows?
All right. This was sent from Sam on our team at Tomorrow.
All right.
It is Manny Pacquiao being beamed 6,000 miles from Seoul, Korea to Los Angeles, California as a hologram for a historic face-off against DK Yo. Is it Yo?
DK Yo, that's epic.
Yeah.
He's in a KO you.
Nice. And we'll attach the video on our video on YouTube. But pretty surreal to see them standing side by side.
Awesome.
Do you know what's hilarious with this though? It would I would not be scared at all to be like, because like if I was to actually do like one of those UFC things where I'm like doing that, I'd probably shit myself, right? But here I'm like, I can stand next to this dude who will actually beat the shit out of me. Imagine if he won't do it.
Imagine if DKO like makes him flinch, just like goes, and then like Manny Pacquiao like jumps inside of his portal.
But there's a bit of a lag.
Yeah.
So like he's standing there still, and then 2 seconds later he jolts.
Jolts.
Or like, what if this was an epic prank where like you think it's the hologram, but it's actually him?
Yeah, like no one told DKO that this is just like a it's like fake, just to like look in, just for the headline, and he just punches Manny Pacquiao in the face.
Just freaking whacks him.
I mean, honestly, it looks like it could be. Like it looks so good and real.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, props to this company for this technology. It looks amazing.
I think this is going to replace like wax museums, or not replace, but they'll replace wax figures with these like holograms of the people you want to see.
Recorded.
Yeah.
Oh, true.
Yeah. All right. Kanye West has been in the news a ton. We talked about way back with Trump and Truth Social. Do you guys find any parallels with him going after or acquiring Parler? I was trying to say parallel and tongue twisted there, but Parler. Kanye West is going to acquire Parler.
You just got like, this is the thing that rich people can just do. Like when they
buy social media, when they get kicked off.
Yeah, like so funny. I mean, I don't know how well this is going to turn out. Like I don't know what numbers Parler was doing beforehand.
Not good. It's not done well, this app.
Why do you think he didn't just kind of double down with Trump? Because they are friends. They appear friends.
Affiliated.
Yes,
to join his platform.
Yeah, to join Truth Social, that he wanted to do his own. Is this going to be the way for like people that are canceled? They're just going to start doing their own. But how many of these are going to stick, if any?
I think. Well, I mean, the way Kanye West, it seems like what he's wanted to do, like at least recently, is he wants to like own the things that he wants, right? Like he wants to own his records. He wants to own everything for himself and not like a partnership. So
wants creative control.
Yeah,
badly.
Yeah,
he desperately wants creative control.
So I don't know if like Trump would give
it would work out. Yeah, it would.
Like when you give those two types of people the like a partnership, it doesn't. I mean, to be honest, I don't know if you give Kanye West and plus anybody, it's not gonna go well. But
except for Jay-Z, right? Watch the Throne.
Yeah. True. But there's a reason Watch the Throne 2 it never came.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think it's, how much did he buy it for? Do we know?
Set to acquire it. I think they've formalized that this is going to go down, but I haven't seen a price tag with it undisclosed so far.
And who knows if he'll be able to acquire it still with all of his assets falling beneath his feet. You know?
Yeah, no kidding.
We'll see. I think this came up before he was dropped by Gap and Adidas.
Yeah.
My 2 cents on this is that I think I don't think it will work. I think it will be a failure. But it does speak to a broader fragmentation of social networks, which I think is awesome because for a long time we had like these crappy apps like Snap and Twitter, and then we had Facebook that was just like running amok and like it was a clear monopoly, it felt like. But social tech is now, you're seeing with Twitter, obviously, potentially having a resurgence, and TikTok obviously destroying, and even Snapchat doing well. And I think if Twitter adds like all these new features, what you're going to see is that all the social media apps have like a lot of functionality and more layers to them, and they can compete with each other a lot more effectively, which will again, competition's good. So that's what I'm happy about. I do feel
more competition,
which is again another reason to circle back to our previous conversation about Apple and Meta. It's like Meta just lost all this money. The new iOS updates, their stock price is free falling. Their Quest is not doing well, and now all of a sudden their monopoly is gone, and like TikTok's killing it, and Twitter's got the great Elon Musk leading the. This is like, it's not good if you're a social media person. I think it makes it harder, but I think it's good for the consumer.
Yeah.
Sweet. Number 5, Cyberdontics raised $15 million for a surgery bot that claims it can perform root canals and other dental procedures in minutes. Wow. Super quick.
Cyberdontics. We've done too much research on teledildonics for me to even look at that and not think it's nasty.
Yeah. Now the thing about this is teledildonics only go in your mouth because you want to, not because you need a surgery.
Yeah.
Nice.
Nice.
What do you think about the curve of...
You still might get a filling, though. Sorry, I couldn't help it.
Hopefully not till it gets numb.
Sheesh. Yeah. What do you guys think of even people being like open to letting this robot do it and this fast? Is this something that's going to be common practice?
This is a pretty...
Hopefully it comes fast.
Nice.
Teledildonics does.
Teledildonics will make it, so
yeah.
Nice. When you look at the animation of the surgery, right, and it says image credits Cyberdontics, you can scroll down and you'll see the little GIF, and it's like a little machine just like destroying a tooth and putting like a new thick crown on top.
Cool.
I mean, you can tell that this procedure takes serious finesse.
Yeah.
And I don't doubt that dentists can do it, but I think as soon as a human sees that this robot has done like 100 successful surgeries in a row, or 1,000, or 200,000, or whatever, it's going to be the clear option, because that level of finesse is so hard to do as a person getting in there and, you know, using the tool. I just feel like this is the way. This is the way forward.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty cool. And hopefully it makes it a lot cheaper too.
Yeah, dentists are making way too much money. Let's give more money to robots.
Right now, it feels a little bit like a Saw contraption, maybe, you know? Halloween right around the corner, but it could go bad. You know?
Yeah, it could go very bad. Like it's a drill in your mouth.
Yeah, if you move a robot with a drill in your mouth. But yeah, they secured the bag, 15 million this early in the game. Pretty surprising. And then finally, the last snip was a story that happened while Lewis was away, but we had to talk about it. A factory sealed first edition 8GB iPhone sold at auction for $39,000. It says plus, so around there. Original price was $600 in 2007. And someone made a lot of money just holding on to it in its package.
Wow.
That arguably is appreciated better than most assets.
Yeah. Yeah.
And do you think it's properly rated in the price? Do you think that
underrated?
It should have went for more? Should have went for less? What do you think about the price tag?
39,000, but I mean, it's whatever people want to pay for it, right? I mean, is it worth $39,000? Like, no, from a utility point, but like the person that bought it didn't buy it for a utility point, right? No. So it's like whatever someone feels like it's worth.
Does anyone ever buy an iPhone for utility?
True. So it sold for 65 times the original retail price over a period of, several years, like over a decade.
13 years, yeah. Or 15
years.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of just one of those, because again, like you could say the same thing about a Charizard, right? First edition Charizard. You're an idiot if you spend $1 million on it. Well, like, are you really? Because you're not buying it because you buy it because you love it. And what's money at that point?
True.
What I need to know is how many other factory sealed first edition 8GB iPhones there are.
Right.
Because that 100% creates the supply demand understanding of the value.
Yeah.
If there's not a lot, like if there's less than 50, that was a steal. Because what we're talking about here is potentially the greatest consumer product ever built.
Yeah.
And actually, no, it is. I don't know about the future, but today there's been no greater consumer product than the iPhone.
The Meta Quest 2.
Oh shit!
Lee tried to hit a sound effect for those listening. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
I don't know if it recorded, but it's the
They
hi-hat drums.
Yeah, it's the ba-doom. Anyway,
all right.
That's a joke.
Yeah, meme time now.
Meme.
Speaking of joke.
So we were talking about earlier, I mentioned who has the legs to go further, Meta or Apple. And because Meta introduced legs, and an actual tweet from them was, "Legs are coming soon!" ! Are you excited? And actually celebrating that you have legs in the metaverse now. But when Meta tweeted, "Legs are coming soon, are you excited?" someone replied and said, "Tadpoles be like."
Here's the thing, because we watched this thing live. God, again, like he just must know what he's doing, because the fact that he was like, and now we're coming out with something everyone has been asking for. So I'm expecting some like epic ass reveal, and he comes out with his fucking like.
It was an epic ass reveal because
he now
has an ass and legs.
He comes out with his PS2 looking avatar with legs, and it's like it seems more like lifeless than that. It's like, and then like they start like dancing on stage and like squatting and stuff. It's like, oh, man, it's so cringe.
This can't be an honest. This can't be an honest request. Are you excited? He must know no one gives a fuck, right? Yeah. Hey, like when he's at, hey guy, his family dinners.
You know,
so the meta quest is gonna be having legs, and they're like, oh, cool, Zach.
It's giving like a very dystopian thing too. When you look at this image, when they're like clearly enjoying their legs, while everyone in the crowd is like just going like, yay, like without legs.
Without legs, they didn't give the crowd members legs.
Talk about flexing on the second class. You know, you're gonna circle around us and watch us celebrate our autonomy to move on our feet, while you all can't. I don't get it.
Yeah.
Pretty funny.
I think it's cool. The fact they made a big release about it, Apple would never. Can you imagine? Legs are coming soon. Are you excited?
Yeah.
That's
because Apple's not capable of doing shit like that.
They're not going to have legs.
We'll see. We'll see, and you'll all see too. Thanks for joining us for another episode of the Fast Forward Podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and give us a review wherever you listen to podcasts.
Yep. And make sure you see us on our socials as well, TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. We post lots of shorts there that you can find, and some maybe BTS content of Lee dancing.
Before we go, don't forget to let us know what you think in the comments, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week, guys. Legs will be coming soon to the Fast Forward Podcast.
Why do we just do that?